And we welcome you into Game Day Scoreboard. Kiana Martin here to kick off your week as we have officially turned the page to the final month of 2024. And with the clock nearing the end of the year, it also signifies the last chance for some struggling teams, including some whose luck has gone from bad, well, to worse. Well, Christian McCaffrey heading back to the IR with a PCL injury suffered against the Bills in Week 13. Expected recovery time for this injury will be at least 6 weeks, according to 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan. McCaffrey had already missed the first 8 games of the season with Achilles tendonitis. Niners also losing Jordan Mason to the IR with an ankle injury. Here's CBS Sports fantasy football analyst Jamie Eisenberg for more on the fallout of the 49ers running back room.
Here comes Isaac Guerendo. He's rostered in 11% of leagues on CBSSports.com. You should be adding him everywhere. They have a difficult matchup to some degree against the Bears in Week 14. Hopefully Trent Williams, their star left tackle, will play. But moving forward, Isaac Guerendo will be the starting running back for the 49ers. I'm going to call him a flex option at best. Remember, there's 6 teams on a bye in Week 14, so he's probably going to be in your starting lineup. But after that, in the fantasy playoffs, hopefully he'll deliver. We saw some positive moments from him. He's not the same pass catcher at McCaffrey, but neither was Jordan Mason. So you're probably looking at 15 to 20 total touches. You're hoping for some end zone work. We know it's going to be a lot on Brock Purdy's shoulders. His value increases. So does Juwan Jennings. So does Deebo Samuel. Samuel will be a factor in the backfield as well. And clearly George Kittle will still be one of the best tight ends. But this offense changes now. We thought McCaffrey would be the catalyst to maybe get things going. Now that he's out, things change. Isaac Guerendo, hopefully, can be a fantasy savior.
It was quite an eventful Thanksgiving week for the Bears. Chicago deciding to part ways with head coach Matt Eberflus just a day after their embarrassing last-second loss to the Lions. Hoping for better results from interim head coach Thomas Brown in his first game at the helm against the 49ers in Week 14. Bears management speaking to the media for the first time since the firing news on Monday. Here's what they had to say.
This will be the most coveted job in the National Football League this year. And Ryan and I need to work hand in hand together to make sure we bring that to life, not only from a head coach standpoint, but also from an entire staff standpoint. And people will ask, what are we looking for in a head coach? We need an individual who has extremely high standards, who is tough, who is demanding, who's bright, who has attention to detail, who seeks and will win championships.
It's about being resilient. All right, no matter what happens, nobody cares what's happened before, what happened in the future. Overcome it. Fight through it. So it's not about the event, it's about the response. So respond the right way, together collectively.
Football world still buzzing after Texans linebacker Azeez Al-Shaair's high hit on Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence in the second quarter of their Week 13 matchup. Lawrence would be removed from that game with concussion and remain in concussion protocol on Monday with no decision as to whether he will return again this season, according to Doug Peterson. Well, Azeez Al-Shaair taken to Twitter. This is what he had to say about the incident. I've always played the game as hard as I could, never with the intent to harm anyone, and anybody that knows me knows that. I would never want to see any player hurt because of a hit I put on them, especially one that's deemed late or unnecessary. Doug Peterson had said this about his QB1 on Monday.
We have conversations every year like, hey, okay, we got to, do a better job of sliding, better job of getting out of bounds. We got to throw the ball away, just live to punt, live to play another down. All those different, conversations come up but it's you don't like to see it, with your quarterback, the amount of injuries. But at the same time, he bounces right back. He's tough. He's tough mentally. He's tough physically. He does a great job, getting himself ready to go again when the time comes. And he definitely wants to be out there with his teammates.
Notable other news and notes from Monday. Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers will remain the team starter heading into Week 14. Saints quarterback, tight end, running back, wide receiver Taysom Hill to miss the rest of the season with a torn ACL. Buccaneers quarterback Baker Mayfield dealing with a sore leg. Practice status unclear. Giants defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence placed on season-ending IR with a dislocated elbow. And so we are now joined by CBS Sports NFL analyst Will Brinson. And Will, it's a never-ending pile of injuries for this 49ers team this season. CMC facing the worst of it as his season is virtually over after just 4 games played. But just considering with San Francisco currently sitting at the bottom of the NFC West, is there any hope for them to maybe salvage in some way, some form, some fashion this season?
They need a lot of luck, and they haven't had much of that this year. You know, the injuries are ridiculous. When you look at Nick Bosa missing games, Brock Purdy's missed games, Trevor Williams out, of course. Brandon Ayuk done for the season after his protracted holdout. It's just been a litany of injuries, and of course the Christian McCaffrey stuff. I think with Jordan Mason on IR, and we saw Jamie mention Isaac Guerendo, he's going to run for him. Anybody can run in this 49er scheme. I just think there's too much going on in terms of all the different injuries they've suffered. And with no McCaffrey, it does just drop back that offense to a degree. Juwan Jennings has been great, but, you have the Cardinals playing really well, the Seahawks surging suddenly, and the Rams right there, too. They just have too big a hill to climb with not enough time left in the season where they basically have to be perfect. They should win. I don't know about 73% for the Rams. I would think that's a little high myself. But at the Dolphins and the Lions is a really tough game. I know the numbers are the numbers. According to our model, that's too high. They're not 43% to win against the Lions. The Lions are a really good football team. And I do think that, they're going to suffer probably 2 losses in that stretch. And if that happens, they're DOA. So basically they have to sweep out without their, 2 best running backs, which seems quite unlikely. So just a season of a snake bit season for the 49ers here. And frankly, they'd be better off letting these guys, stay on IR, rest, get healthy, come back and try again next season after they unfortunately have to pay Brock Purdy a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just at that running back position. You're looking at their left tackle missing time, their best defensive guy, Nick Bosa, also missing time. And like you mentioned, time possibly running out for the 49ers. But as for their Week 14 opponent, well, Bears looking to the future after firing Matt Eberflus. Team president Kevin Warren pronouncing that the Bears head coaching opening will be the most coveted job in the NFL this offseason. Well, do you agree with this? And also, what kind of head coach should the Bears be looking for?
Well, first, I'll answer the second one first. I think they need to go for an offensive coach who can help to groom Caleb Williams. You look at their last, they had Lovie Smith. They fire him. They bring in John Fox. He can't coach up Mitchell Trubisky. Surprise, surprise. They fire him. They bring in Matt Nagy. They give him a year with Justin Fields and fire him. And then they bring in another defensive guy. I would say that in a vacuum, just looking at the roster, this is a fairly intriguing job for possible coaching candidates. However, that's not everything that coaching candidates look for. And Kevin Warren out here talking like he knows everything and he's going to be the guy to land this coach. I'll believe it when I see it. The McCaskey family hadn't done a very good job of hiring coaches. Belichick a possibility. Marcus Freeman's on this list. Okay. Cliff Kingsbury's been bandied about. Okay. Sure. If Aaron Glenn can get in the mix, I think that's interesting. But I do think they need to find an offensive-minded head coach to work with Caleb Williams. You have a young quarterback who's the first overall pick and a theoretically generational prospect. So to see a list with mostly defensive guys from our Jonathan Jones is a bit concerning unless they can bring in some really savvy offensive coordinator to go along with him. I think the Bears personnel is coveted. I don't know if the job is as coveted as the Bears front office would lead you to believe.
Yeah, they have a good defense, a cheap and talented quarterback, so some things that they have going for them, but certainly, like you mentioned, you want somebody there, perhaps a really strong offensive mind to help develop that first-round quarterback. But meanwhile, Trevor Lawrence's season now in question after taking that tough hit from Texans linebacker Azeez Al-Shaair. But with Jacksonville already staring at a 2-10 record, dropping 5 straight, and now sitting in the cellar of the AFC South, should the Jags shut down T-Law for the rest of the season with a top draft pick within reach?
Yeah, this is a no-brainer. And the Jaguars, I think, could have 3 of 5 first overall picks, which is just unheard of. There is absolutely no reason to bring back Trevor Lawrence for the rest of this year. It was a surprise that he played in that game anyway, and he didn't play poorly per se, and didn't wasn't a detriment to the team because of his injury. But I mean, he got knocked out cold on a dirty and unnecessary hit. I don't care what the Texans say defending this. It was wildly unnecessary. Anybody who tells you he should have slid earlier is crazy. It was a dirty hit, and this is a clear concussion situation. So no reason to bring him back. You paid him this offseason. He is the future. You're going to fire Doug Peterson more than likely. This is going to be a job where offensive candidates like Ben Johnson are going to be interested. And when you look at the history of Trevor Lawrence and his injuries, he struggled so badly down the stretch last year, particularly in the final few weeks when he suffered all of those injuries, especially in that Monday Night Football game against the Bengals. And now, again, with the AC joint sprain, and then the concussion, it is wildly irresponsible to even think about bringing Trevor Lawrence back. You shut him down for the season, and you move on to next year, hopefully with a new regime, and particularly in the front office. I think Trip Baalke deserves to go as well, and deserves a large brunt of the blame for the issues that Jacksonville has.
Yeah, also we were just talking about Chicago and what could be open or what will be open at that head coaching position. You bring up something that Jacksonville could be in the market for, as well as they start turning the page and looking ahead to the offseason. Certainly might be that time to maybe hang it up and start looking forward to 2025. As always, Will Brinson, it's great having you. Thanks so much. And CBS has a monster slate of games on tap for Week 14, and we'll have you covered for all of them with post-game highlights, recaps, on-field interviews, and so much more right here on CBS Sports HQ. Watch live on the CBS Sports app or stream it on Paramount+.